This is Raj here, Raj on Film. This is kind of a part 2 to the latest video I did. And we're going to continue at part 2 here and just kind of look around Elmwood Cemetery some more. Here we've got some Civil War veterans' graves. We'll just have a look at those. In my last video of Elmwood Cemetery, I didn't show a couple of graves because I'd showed them before, but I'm going to show them again. We'll talk a little bit more about it. And that would be about the Dalton gang and their deputy brother, Frank Dalton. So we'll just take a walk around and we're going to talk a little bit more about Elmwood Cemetery. I always like coming here. This piece of ground is probably, some places like it are what's left of the Old West, you know, and those times. This is very much an 1800s cemetery, and I doubt it's changed very little since the 1800s. What you see is exactly what you'd have seen then in the late 1800s. And a bit of interesting information I wanted to share was the fact that I found online that in 1861, Billy the Kid and his parents moved to Coffeyville here, and they lived here for a short time in 1861. Billy the Kid would have only been 3 years old at the time, and they probably didn't live here very long. And the rumor is that his father's name was actually William H. Bonney, which kind of he took as an alias, you know. But it's very interesting to know that Billy the Kid and his parents lived here for a short time in Coffeyville, Kansas in 1861. They probably didn't live here but a few years, you know, and moved on towards Texas or whatever. So we're gonna just walk around a little bit some more in this video. And just look around. It's a really nice day for it, so I wanted to come back out here and we'll have a look around. It's going to be kind of a short video, but this is kind of the part 2. Again, this is the grave of H.H. Isham and his wife. They would have owned the hardware store uptown during the day that the Daltons robbed the bank, or tried, in their failed double bank robbery. Prominent townspeople owned the hardware store, and artillery of handguns, rifles, and ammunition that wouldn't have been good for the Daltons that day at all, and it wasn't. Oh, I forgot almost about the Ayers family. Yes, the Ayers family. Priscilla, his wife, and Thomas Greeley Ayers was a lawyer in the town of Coffeyville, a businessman, and shot by one of the Daltons during that shootout. But he lived to tell the tale. So we'll move along. Now Mr. Cubine here, George Cubine, did not live through the Dalton gang shootout. He was shot and killed on that day that the Daltons tried their failed double bank robbery. Again, we've got the ornate gate, which I always like seeing. Very vintage. Again, the grave of Frank Dalton. If you're ever in the Coffeyville area, be sure to come here and explore the town of Coffeyville, see the old bank and all the old graves. The grave of Frank Dalton. I know he was killed near Fort Smith, Arkansas, about 1888, and lost his life trying to apprehend some vicious criminals and horse thieves. It's funny because back in those days you could work both sides of the law. You know, you could be a criminal or a lawman or just both. And oftentimes a lot of men did. That's exactly what they did. It was the Old West was a very complicated time. I think sometimes that the Civil War had something to do with that, and why men were the way they were. A very bitter period after the Civil War. A lot of them were Civil War veterans that were criminals, turned to being lawless, robbing trains, banks, becoming bounty hunters. And such. I think it had a very bad taste in a lot of people's mouth after the Civil War, and the rest of the 1800s are kind of to blame for that. Here are the graves of the Dalton gang. And the railing that they supposedly tied their horses off in the alley, I'm not sure it's real or not. It's exactly the same one. It could be, very well could be. But again, I wanted to show the graves of the Dalton gang, and if you're ever in the Coffee area, do come by here. Want to thank everybody for being here today, and thank you for coming by. Please like, share, and subscribe.